What's up everybody, Kinetic here and welcome back to Lost Ark, and this is part 2 of my explanation for gear progression and stat progression here in the game. Now this is closed beta test 1, and this is some of the freshest and most complicated info that I have seen, and is going to be really hard for me to try and explain to you guys properly, but I'm going to give it my best shot. And forewarning before we get into this, I am not a professional on this subject, and even if all of the information that I'm about to give you is 100% accurate, there's still the chance that, of course, they may rebalance these systems, change them or whatever for the final release. But I want to say that most of these systems here that I'm about to talk about regarding gems and stats and upgrading your gear and stuff like that is pretty much set in gemstone, if we will, right? But and from that, by watching this video, you'll at least understand, I think, the core ideas here that are being presented with this system and the fundamentals of how you can progress and push your stats to further add customization to the type of build that you're going for the class that you are playing. Maybe you're trying to push your crit chance or your stamina or something like that. The gems is where that comes into play. Let's actually first talk about the two types of gems that are available. You have refined gems, which are already cut, right? And they are ready to be put into your gear. And then you have unrefined gems that need to be cut and refined in order to get the potential that's in them to be able to put them into your gear. Now, you can purchase refined gems. For example, here we can see this merchant is selling, I believe he's selling greens, and if we were to scroll down, you can also see some blue gems as well. These probably also go up to epic quality, and of course, the higher the quality, the more powerful the stats are going to be on those gems. And another way to find, for example, the refined version of gems may be from auction house when they put that into a future closed beta. They haven't activated it yet, so we don't know if gems like these are bind on pickup or whether these can be sold to other players. I'm thinking that they probably will be able to be tradable to other players, sold on the auction house and things like that. That'll be a nice way and an interesting addition to the market, I think, and economy here in Lost Ark. So we've got refined gems covered for the most part, I think, from that. But what about the unrefined gems? Well, the two ways that I've seen that you can get unrefined gems is one from these treasure chests that you can buy as sort of a gamble from an NPC. Inside is a chance at a, maybe for example, a green gem, a blue gem, or an epic quality gem inside. So that's a way of getting unrefined gems there. Now another way that you can get these unrefined gems, it seems, is from gathering. I've seen miners who go around and they're mining away trying to pick up materials for crafting, and then they happen to get an unrefined gem from that activity. Now, who knows, we may be able to find these unrefined gems as well from other gathering activities. Maybe if you're fishing, you pull out the fish and then he coughs up an unrefined gem. It's totally possible. I wouldn't expect that only miners would be able to get these unrefined gems, but who knows? We don't know for certain where all of the sources for these gems comes from, but those are two different ways. The boxes, and from mining, certainly you can get the unrefined gems. So once we have a gem, then we have, or at least an unrefined gem, then we need to go refine it and to bring out the potentials that way it will give us our stats. Now from this screen here, you can already see that one of these gems here has a certain combination of stats. It's got +1 to one stat here and -2 to another stat here. Now you might think that this is kind of crazy, like, don't gems normally only give you buffs to your stats? Well, if we take a look at this other window here, this is where we can start to press into more of the understanding of how these gems work, what the plus values and the minus values actually mean. On the right hand side, we can see that this is the character's inventory. On the left hand side, this window over here, this is what I could sort of describe as a secondary stat system. And what that means is that here these values, or what happens here, affects your actual stats once they are activated. Now, the way that these categories right here of your stats are activated is they reach certain thresholds. Here you can see there's a white line here, 2 lines here. I believe that those are the requirements, sort of, to fill up to either get a buff or a debuff to your stats. So up to this point, I believe, because this one is still empty, nothing is actually happening, but this corresponds, this 1, 2, 3, 4 right here, to the gems that we were just looking at here. We've got +1 here and -2 here. So that may be that gem, it may be adding +1 to one of these categories here and -2 from another. Now, this isn't just limited to the gems either. Your gear also will do this. That's why we can see the person's gear up here, his weapon and his armor, is those pieces of equipment also have plus and minus values to these stat categories that are giving measurements to whether these requirements are being fulfilled or not. I hope that made sense because that's one half of explaining how the gem and these stats work to also further customize your character's stats. But I think just really quick again, the gems and your equipment will have plus and minus values to certain categories, and only when they fill up a certain portion of these bars here, enough of these slots, will it give you a buff or a debuff to your stats. I think that that's pretty clear. Now let's go back to the other window here. Again, these are refined gems that you can purchase. Here's the +1 to one value, -2 to another. Here's an example of a legendary item that has 2 gems, and here you can see he's got +1 to one stat here and -2 another. There's another plus, there's another -2 there. So you can see how, for example, the and here as well, this is the same. He's got another +3 to this and another -2 to there, and these are adding or taking away from the other window that we saw, and what may or may not be boosts or debuffs, right? So the next screen, what we're looking at here, this is the gem refining NPC. And what we can see here, these are the 2 unrefined gems that he has here. These are the potential stats that you may get out of this gem. Now, I can't read Korean, unfortunately, and I'm a little too lazy because it's super late now to go ahead and translate whatever this is. This may be attack speed, stamina, whatever. But these are those numbers, okay? So what we have here is he's going to gamble and try to unlock these blue orbs to get positive stats that will add to that secondary stat system. And he's also going to gamble as well, and he has to activate also down here the red. This would be the negative stat that could possibly come with this gem. So how does that work? Well, currently they are dark. You can't see very well, but these are not bright. They haven't been activated just yet. This percentage value here shows the chance at whether when you activate this orb, whether it will actually activate or whether it will fail, okay? So you will pay money to have a chance, this chance right here, 75% chance that this positive value will activate or whether it would fail. Now, every time that you do this, every time you fail or you succeed, it will change your percentage chance, and which will affect which selection you want to make here. You can select any of these 3 categories on taking the chance to maybe that being activated or whether you want or whether it actually failing. Now, of course, you want the positive values, the blue ones, to activate, right? Unfortunately, these dark grayed out ones are fails right here. This one was successfully activated, this one, and this one. So he's got +1 to one category, he's got +3 out of 5 to another, and he's about to now activate the red values here. So because of the combination of successes and failures right here for activating these orbs, what he's ended up with now is a 55% chance now for the next orb that he tries to activate to succeed or fail. If he succeeds, that value goes down. That percentage goes down. If he fails, then his percentage chance to succeed goes up. So if you fail, your chance goes up. If you succeed, your chance goes down. Something like that. I believe that's how that works. So now here in the next screen, we can see that he's failed at activating the negative, which is good. You don't want these to activate because they're taking away potentially from your secondary stat, whatever this is. This may be, for example, his crit hit chance. So if he's activating this, then that's a -1 in that secondary category. Here was a success, which means that he has -1 to whatever this is, and then there was a failure, and I believe that do I have another screen of this? Well, this is the final result of it right here. So he failed at this, and so he's got +1, +3, -1 here, and that's what we see here. +1, +3, -1 here. So then, if he likes this gem, if he likes those results, or if you like these results, then you would take that gem and you would put it into your gear slot, and that is when it would affect your secondary stat system. It would, again, for example, put maybe +3, +1, and -1 somewhere else, like, I don't know, here or whatever. And then again, if you have met or whatever the requirements to this, you would get a buff here, you would get a debuff at this point to these stats. And I think that is clear and simple enough that of an explanation of how this system works right here for the gem in the stat system. Now, rather than sitting here and just looking through screenshots that I've taken of video of somebody performing this only, let's go ahead and we'll actually take a look at this character as he goes through the process of gambling sort of the chance to activate buffs or debuffs with these gems. Okay, so this is the video that I was talking about. Here we can see 2 pieces of gear that he has that have slots, and this is a gem that he could, because it's refined and ready, to put into the slots of his armor if he wants to. But what he's going to do instead is he's got 2 unrefined gems here in his inventory, and from the same NPC, this is where he can pay to begin to activate the orbs for the gems to possibly either get buffs or debuffs through those gems. So it's asking him, are you sure you want to activate the orb? He says yes, but he failed. So he didn't get the +1 to that positive value for that stat category. He switches gems and he decides to try a different gem. And that one was a success. You can see it's very hard to tell, but it's bright blue now compared to kind of a dull blue right there. He switches, then switches back. He's got now activated here, activated, failed, right? And activated. He's kind of dancing around his gems a bit here. He's looking at a different gem. He's failed the first one. We're back to this gem. I wish he would stop switching gems. Okay. He's going to stop switching at some point. But he's comparing the values, right? He's comparing, for example, what the stats are that he's getting buffs from, or that he may be possibly getting debuffs from. So there he failed to activated 4, and then, okay, I think I might have forgot to tell you that you have to activate all of these orbs in order for it to be a complete refined gem. You cannot only, for example, activate the blue ones and then not activate the red ones. Of course, it doesn't work like that. You have to take the chance. You have to gamble of what the results are going to be when you're cutting, when you're refining these gems to either be buffs to your stats potentially or debuffs. So that's the confirmation right there saying that it's complete, it's fully refined. So now he goes to his inventory, and there's the final result of the refined gem. As we saw before, +3, +1, -1. The other one has +4 and it was -1, or excuse me, +4 and +1. Yeah, wow. So he actually had a gem there, it seems, that didn't have any debuff points. And there you can see he was looking at his secondary stat system to how those may fill in the requirements to activate buffs or debuffs to those stats. Oh man, it's so hard to try and put this into words, but I think that you guys are getting this. It looks like now he's going through and he's comparing, you know, what other gems that he could purchase. There's also gems that you can craft, it seems, which is pretty cool. But all of this is, it's tough maybe to wrap your head around, but it will also really give you some cool theory crafting and ways of kind of figuring out how you can put together your stats, how you can add more values. And nothing is 100% certain, as we can see, because of the RNG system, which adds a nice little layer of complexity. I know some people are already hating this probably. Other people will find it to be exciting. I personally, if you wanted to know my opinion on this whole system, it's awfully complex, right? But once you figure it out, it's not so bad. The sucky part, of course, will be when you really need a good refined gem for a certain stat or something like that to improve your gear. You go to refine the gem, and then it turns into a piece of poop or something like that. But, that feeling, I can already feel it, and I haven't even done it. Imagine the feeling of sitting down at this refining table and you've got this gem and you're hoping that it's going to be awesome. You start cutting away, refining, activating the orbs, right? To see what stats you might get. And if it can come out good, then it'll be great. And you do. You make maybe the perfect gem or something like that. You get no negative values, get all positives to the stat categories that you want. You throw that into your armor and it just makes you even more of a badass. That's totally worth, the potential of that success and that feeling, that sense of, luck, achievement, whatever you want to call it. It balances out to probably the heartache of the complete failures that maybe you might have on other days for refining gems. But I think I've rambled on long enough, and man, I'm so glad that I made this into another video of its own, because that's quite a lot to try and break down for you guys. I hope that it made sense to you. I hope that I am not making any mistakes either in the way that I'm explaining this. I hope that what I'm saying basically is factual. In other words, is what I'm trying to say here. If anybody knows anything different or needs to correct me on certain points about the way that this gem and stat system works, please feel free to let me know that down in the comment section. But overall, I do want to know, in general, what do you guys think of this gem secondary stat system here in Lost Ark? Down in the comment section below. Click the like button to support these Lost Ark videos, guys. I'm trying my best to figure all this out, to take crazy amounts of notes and stuff like that. Every little piece of useful and interesting bit of information down on paper and bring it to you guys in a fun video format here on YouTube. That's it for now, guys. Make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss the next video. Thanks again for watching. My name is Kinetic, and I'll see you next time.